Welcome to The Growth Shift, the podcast where we unlock the psychological and strategic blueprints of predictable growth. If you've built a successful business, you know the truth. Your expertise is high value, but your time is finite. The question is, how do you sustain that success without sacrificing your most valuable asset? We believe that the next level of success requires a strategic pivot, a fundamental shift that moves beyond the old ways. In every episode, we dive into the critical turning points of industry leaders and uncover how they're leveraging AI not as a shortcut, but as the strategic force for their next growth shift. Today, we dive in with a leader who is defining the future of their industry.
This episode is brought to you by Valentix, your strategic growth partner. At Valentix, we believe that trust and authentic relationships are the only true currency in high-value business. We challenge the status quo by building an AI-powered client acquisition engine that enhances your human connection, helping you move beyond the slow growth of referrals. Our AI-powered systems eliminate the grind, allowing you to break through the noise, automate tasks, and free up your time to focus on transformative client impact. If you're ready to build a predictable growth engine, learn more at valentix.io. Now let's dive into today's episode. Today on The Growth Shift, we're privileged to host Linda Johansen-James, a global retail authority, multi-time founder, and the force behind International Retail Group. Linda's journey is a masterclass in high-stakes entrepreneurship, marked by building American Kiosk Management into a $2 billion company before selling to Nestle and now serving as a designated top retail expert globally. As an author who has literally written the book on AI for retail success, Linda dedicates her passion to helping smaller brands test, launch, and scale their retail presence. Her insights into strategic testing, operational rigor, and leveraging authority to attract clients will provide a powerful framework for our audience. Linda, welcome to The Growth Shift.
Well, thank you for having me.
Pleasure to have you on the show today. Linda, your journey began with an entrepreneurial spirit, selling lemonade at 5, and evolved into building American Kiosk Management into a $2 billion company before selling. Given your early hustle and your commitment to retail, how did those foundational experiences ultimately lead you to become a global retail expert?
Well, that's a great question. And I would probably say right off the top of my head, a whole hell of a lot of hard work. But I think even more importantly than that, it's about helping people to be successful in an industry that I love. I love retail. I love talking to people. I don't have a challenge at all. And I love being able to sell to them, whether it's my clients or the customers, something that makes them feel better. And so I think even when I started out younger, selling lemonade and candy and all the things my dad used to bring home, people were happy when they left. And I was really quite shy when I was younger. And people laugh at that today because they say, Linda, you don't have a shy bone in your body. And I'm like, but I really did when I was younger. And what brought me out of that was learning how to talk to people and how to sell. And so for me, that's kind of where it all got started. And I had multiple companies before my husband and I had American Kiosk Management, and it was always in a service industry. So I love working for myself. People say, well, Linda, you have a hard time working for others. And I said, I do. And that most entrepreneurs do, right? We have a hard time like reporting to others because our brains work a little bit differently, because 1 minute we'll be at this and the next minute we'll think of something else, right? And that's how my clients are today. My clients are those young entrepreneurs or older entrepreneurs who have multiple ideas, and I kind of help them rein them in.
Yeah, it's been quite the journey for you. And of course, it's one fueled by passion. I mean, for building and selling a $2 billion company, of course, you don't need to work anymore, but you're obviously
Right.
so passionate. You care so much about what it is that you do that you
Yes.
continue to work to this day serving others.
Yes, my husband said to me, Wendy, you just really, you don't have to work anymore. And I'm like, but I love helping people be successful. And sometimes, quite frankly, they're not, right? Sometimes they have a great idea. Sometimes they want to test and launch in retail, and that's not really the market for them. So I probably have as many failure stories or learning stories as I do success stories. But for me, American Kiosk Management and what we did with proactive and really changing people's lives, when that went away, I thought there's more that I can do to help people. And so I think over the last 8 years having International Retail Group, I'm really proud of the clients that we've helped to test and launch in retail. And like I say, some haven't been successful. Some went back to keeping their business online or doing something else. But we've been able to help so many people to look at their dream, right? Their dream and have it come to fruition. And there's nothing better for me than doing that.
Perhaps you fulfilled your own dreams and now you help others fulfill theirs as well. And we talked about helping people, right? Coaches, mentors, consultants, all at the end of the day, they are helping people, whether it's a business and the people within it or individuals. And usually that helping, that teaching comes from experience, the experience of failure and the experience of success as well, but more experience is learned through failure. Now, Linda, during your journey and the number of companies that you've owned, you've surely had some pretty incredible learning lessons along the way. What was perhaps the most memorable or pivotal learning experience or growth shift that you experienced along the way that just changed your ability to build a business and your approach to business as well?
Well, when you're successful, you think that you can bring on other businesses into your framework and they can be successful too, right? It's not always the case. And several years ago, I worked with a client and they were in the food industry. And I had never been in the food industry. They wanted to grow this network. It was, I can't say who the company was, but it was a globally recognized company who came to me because of my retail experience, right? And I said, yes, but my retail experience is down this runway. Yours is down one that I don't really understand. They said, yes, but you can learn. We want someone with your type of experience. So I took them on. And after a year and a half of negotiating and struggling and trying to understand this business, it didn't go anywhere. And I spent thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours, and it didn't work out. And it didn't work out not because I didn't understand retail, but I didn't understand that kind of retail. I didn't understand how to do that. And I think the lesson for me was that when you're going to test something, you have to understand the framework to begin with, right? And I didn't. And it cost me a lot of money. It cost me friends. It cost me a client that I could have been successful with, or someone else could have been successful with. So I think for me, it was realizing that I had moved away from my skill set and from what I was really good at. And it hurt for a long time. And it almost caused me to think, gosh, Linda, maybe it's time. But then another client came along. I'm like, okay. I think for me, it wasn't the money. I didn't really do my client any good and I didn't do my company any good. And so I think when I look at, I had to control my ambition to keep scaling, I guess.
You mentioned something really interesting there, and it's, that lesson that you learned through the failure. And, I commend you for being able to overcome such a large failure that hurt you so much, of course. And that's what a true entrepreneur must do. That's the mark of a successful entrepreneur, right? Being able to overcome the failures that knock you down time and again.
Yep.
And, the intriguing thing is that you noticed that you moved away from what it is that you were really passionate about and where your area of expertise was. Generally, those lessons don't come to us right away. It takes a while, and it sounds like it took you a little while to recover from that as well. How is it that you even identified that was the problem in the failure?
First of all, I had mentors who reminded me, and any good entrepreneur knows that we can't do it alone. And I have been very blessed through my long tenured, 45-year career that I have had some incredible people around me that will tell me the hard facts when I don't want to hear them. I consider myself to be a fairly intelligent woman, but I make mistakes. And I think you have to listen to people who are telling you, Linda, you need to recalibrate what you're doing here. And that's what I did. And thank God for those people, because who knows how much larger that failure would have been if the people that really cared about me and helped mentor me through my career hadn't told me it was time to walk away. And that was difficult. That was difficult. And listen, none of us like failure, right? None of us do. But I truly believe, I don't know if I believe when people say you learn more from failure than you do from success. I think I've learned a lot from success, but I do believe that I've learned a lot from my failures too.
Certainly learning through failure. What you're saying there, just the value of mentorship, you're preaching to the choir, of course. There's a quote there. This is not my quote. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to experience, because if you're on your own, you might go fast, you might succeed fast, you might fail fast as well. But it's the additional, perspective.
Well, and I think it's not letting the failure stop you. I had to listen. It was painful. Don't please people. Please don't get me wrong. It was painful because everybody knew what I was doing. This was a global company that had a lot of reach. And for me, I felt like it was an embarrassment, right? For me and my company and the career that I had. But when I stepped back and I listened to people, they said, no, Linda, you learned where it is that you should be focusing, which a lot of people don't, right? And I think I learned that lesson. So now I can make, I think probably the biggest lesson I learned out of that was that I can't help everybody, even though I want to. I want to take on every client. We all do. We're consultants. That's how we make money. That's how we look at our success. You're smiling. I love that. That's how we look at our success, right? But sometimes you have to be strong enough to say no. And I do that now where I wouldn't have done it before. And I'm more, I, I wouldn't say I wasn't honest before, but I'm honest with the clients and say, listen, I'm not the one that you need, but let me refer you to someone that I think you're going to be extremely successful with. So I refer them to other consultants who it's their skill set, where I wouldn't have done that before.
Yeah, I mean, you can't get sidelined. You can't get distracted by shiny objects just for the sake of wanting to help people or whatever else might come along with it. So, Linda, you learn from these failures, you learn from your successes even more, and now you've evolved. And today, through International Retail Group, you're working with entrepreneurs and smaller retail companies as a one-stop shop, we could say, right? For these brands looking to launch retail, you handle everything from site selection and lease negotiation to staff hiring and manual writing, a whole lot of things. Can you tell us a little bit more about specifically how it is you come in and help your clients and how you help them help them move from point A to point Z, perhaps?
Well, I think for me, I get to know my clients and they really do become part of IRG and part of who we are, the fabric of who we are. And who we are is helping people starting from point A, looking at, does this business really make sense? Can we sell it? Is it something that you need to go into a shopping center or a strip mall? Should we do a store in store? We do a lot of pop-ups too. So we really strategize. We do P&Ls first so that they really understand what does the investment look like? How much do you have to put in? What do the sales need to be? And what are your overall expenses? Because a lot of my clients come to me are already operating stores and they don't have P&Ls. They don't really understand what the bottom line is. They're not getting monthly P&L. So we really start with that. Does it really make sense for you to do this business? And what is your time going to be? I have a client of mine. She's just delightful. We've opened up 2 stores. We've done 3 pop-ups. We do a lot of work. And she said, retail is a full-time job. It's not Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, right? It's 7 days a week, 12, 14 hours a day, 365 days a year. So we really get them to look at the big picture. Then from there, we put together their whole strategy. Everything from what type of employees do they need? We find them the best locations. We negotiate their leases, write all their ops manual, help them on the HR perspective. And then up until a couple of years ago, I also hired and managed all their staffs for them. So I had a temporary staffing agency too. So if my clients didn't want to run their stores or hire their employees to work for them, they worked for me. And so for me, the success of your business is about the success of the people that you bring along. And hiring and training and managing your staff, I think, is the most important work that you do.
Well, business is about people. At the end of the day, it's by people, it's with people, it's for people. Business is about humans. So if you're not focused on humans in any business, I don't know how far you're really going to go, and maybe you'd be happy as well.
When you're launching a business, it just doesn't stop today. So I move right along with them. I work in stores with them. Like we just did a Santa Claus event. So I am really boots on the ground. I believe that you have to be in the store with the people, with your customers, so that you really understand what's happening, right? And if you're sitting in your big ivory tower dictating, right, dictating to your employees, I don't feel like you're going to be successful in the long run. So they also hire me, and I coach and mentor them every step of the way after their stores are open.
Fantastic. So, Linda, you're working with people entrepreneurs who, perhaps they have a vision, they have a passion, they have a problem they want to solve, and they don't know how to do that through retail. You come in and you tie everything together. You're a one-stop shop to help them bring that vision to life and grow beyond it as well. And this is a pretty comprehensive service that you're offering. I mean, you had a staffing agency, and you were managing staff for your clients as well. Do you have any specific stories that you could share with us about someone that you worked with, how it is you took them through this process, and the results that they were able to achieve?
A lot of small entrepreneurs. I have a client that I'm working with now. He has multiple concepts. He's a consummate entrepreneur. Every day he calls me with a new idea and a new concept. And we just got done negotiating 3 leases in Ala Moana Mall for him, long-term leases. And he's doing everything from the build out. He does all of the product mix, and he's now up to 10 locations. And when you're a small, I can mention him. He's an incredible entrepreneur. He's been in business now for about 5 years. I started working with Shai about 3 years ago, and we just talked this morning, and he wants to be successful. And so I work with him on lease negotiating and site selection. We brainstorm. He comes to me with new concepts and ideas, and he now has 10 stores. I mean, that's a lot of stores to manage, right? He has 6 alone in Las Vegas, and then 4, and he has 5 in Hawaii. So he does med spas, he sells wellness, he does cell phone accessories, he does massage chairs. I mean, he's kind of runs the gamut. And he's one of those people that understands what it takes to be successful and listens. So we strategize and work together, and now he has 10 stores. For me, that's an incredible story, and I'm really proud of working with someone like that who continues to grow. And I'm going to tell you that over the next few years, Shai will have hundreds of stores.
That's incredible, and the profound impact that you can drive with your clients as well. Of course, they're doing the work, but
Yes.
you're holding a hand, you're facilitating and enabling that, we could say.
And they're helping me. They're helping me. I have to tell you that I've probably learned more from my clients than I've probably given them. I'm thankful every day what I learned from them and what their mindset is and what they've done in the past and how they see their future. So they help me as well.
Linda, a lot of consultants, mentors, coaches look up to individuals such as yourself with the clients that you can help, the results that you drive, the story that you have. A lot of newer coaches and consultants, or perhaps even some more established ones who are starting to struggle in today's environment. Client acquisition is one of the biggest challenges that most people are facing today because of all of the noise, all of the competition, the market saturation, everything that's going on. So from an established, highly successful entrepreneur such as yourself, when you're looking at the state of the markets today, for the sake of other coaches and consultants out there who are struggling to get clients because of all of the forces that they're facing, what is it that you have observed with these challenges, and how you believe that coaches can stand out and attract the right clients in today's world?
Well, for me, and at the risk of not sounding egotistical, but in all honesty, I have not done a lot when it comes to client acquisition, with the exception of being involved in the industry that I'm in. And what I mean by that is like going to New York on Thursday for the National Retail Federation show, attending conferences globally because I want to have a global reach, which I do. So attending conferences, being involved and having a follow-up, a process to track the calls that you get in, right? And the emails and the websites and all of that. Having some type of an AI tracking software that you're following up. And I think that's what you do, David. And so that kind of software is invaluable for people who have a small staff like I do. I contract out some work that I do, but I also have a staff. But you can't stay on top of everything, especially when you're boots on the ground, hands on, doing the work yourself, right? So having a software that you can track your clients and follow up and call and email and talk to them. And then I would say, secondarily, be active on LinkedIn and social media. I am extremely active on LinkedIn. I promote what I do, I promote my clients, but I'm also a top retail expert. So I share my experiences. We're no longer in a place, David, that you can keep what you do to yourself and not share it with other consultants. I probably have 10 friends of mine, maybe even 20 friends of mine who do exactly what I do, right? But we do it in different segments, or we do it a different way, or they may do some things. So be involved with those kinds of people, right? Be involved with other consultants, help them be successful. So I would say social media, number one, have a good website, have a good tracking system where you follow up and track your clients. And the other thing is be there for your clients. I take calls probably 14 hours a day. I take them on Sundays. When my clients need me, I'm there, right? So word spread. So if you're a consultant and you're trying to find clients and you're not involved in what they do, you just provide them a service and then you walk away. That's not how we deal with today. AI will never take the place of a human as long as what? You provide an experience. You take care of them. AI will never take the place of the conversation you and I are having right now, David. Will it help? Will it help us with the behind the scenes things that we do? Of course it will. I use AI all the time. So it helps me, so it frees me up to really provide my clients that hands-on experience. So I would say if you're a consultant and you're looking for business, get involved in industry associations, put yourself out there on social media and get yourself a good tracking software.
I couldn't agree more, Linda. The most foundational and fundamental thing is relationships, right? And human interaction in business. Doesn't matter how much AI is out there. There are two things that you said there that I want to relate, and then we'll get into AI a little bit more. You mentioned getting out there, going to industry events. You mentioned you're extremely active on LinkedIn, right? If we put these both together and look at the underlying commonality, it's getting in front of people, right? Getting in front of people in the right way.
Yes.
So whereas you are not necessarily having to market yourself in the ways that other coaches and consultants might be to attract clients, I think you're probably in the privileged position where people are seeking you out at these industry events, perhaps to try and get you as a client or to perhaps have you as their client as well. For the sake of the audience, in your experience, when you're at industry events, what do you think has been the most memorable approach that someone has taken to earn your business and to get you as a client in one of these events? What is the right way to build that initial relationship in person?
Well, I think first of all, to know your audience and who you want to do business with. I have my whole desk is filled with all the booths and all the people that are going to be at this next show that I'm attending. And so I'm going after the people that I want to do business with. But they also have emailed me and said, Linda, we noticed that you're a top retail expert. We've seen your posts on LinkedIn. We've followed your career and would like to meet with you because we think we have business that we could give you. So I think when you put yourself out there and you let people know what your area of expertise is, I don't find that to be bragging. I find that to be you're communicating to people what it is that your expertise is, right? So I think that when I go to shows, I search out the people that I want or technologies that I want to introduce to my clients, right? So this show is mainly on technology, and I'm looking for specific technologies that my clients can use. And then people are searching me out because they want my clients to use their technology. So they're setting up appointments. So I think the best thing is know the people that are going to be there, reach out to them before you go to the show, set up professional meetings, and don't just show up and not know what you're talking about or what their business is, right? I really think that attending these kinds of shows in whatever industry your consulting is so important, because then people get to know you, right?
So when this relationship problem, let's call it, is solved, when consultants are getting in front of the right people, having the right conversations, making themselves known and putting themselves out there, starting to attract clients, you mentioned something that as a next step is something very important when it comes to technology today, AI, having systems and programs that can help you keep in touch with these people, right? Maintain those relationships and perhaps start to take lessons from them and amplify them to attract more people and find more advantages as well. Linda, you've written a couple of books on AI, specifically as it pertains to retail. When we're looking at what it is that you know about AI, what you've learned and what you advise on, where does AI start to be the biggest advantage for retail and for perhaps work into for retail and what you're doing and for how other consultants should start thinking about AI?
Well, here's what I'm going to tell the people that are listening. People laugh when I wrote the book because they're like, oh my gosh, Linda, you are not technology. I mean, I know enough, right, to work. But here's what I know is I know my clients were struggling. They were struggling with how to hire and train. They were struggling with onboarding. They're struggling with having too much product and not managing their inventory. They're struggling with marketing to their clients and all of the things my clients were struggling with. A friend of mine who used to work with me said, you know what? We've got to give them a roadmap. So what we do in our AI books is we give them the companies that will help them to implement. We don't say we're going to implement it because we're not the implementators. But what we're saying is if you're struggling and you have too much inventory, then Shopify's program does a brilliant job at managing your inventory. So we suggest the companies that they can call and communicate with, and we'll do it for them. I'll do it for them if they want me to. I'll set them up with the companies. So we tell them what to do. The other struggle that my clients were having is how do I build what we call the LTV? How do I build the lifetime value of my customer? If you ask any retailer out there today, with the exception of my customers, most of them will tell you they have no idea what the lifetime value of their customer is, right? How many times they come to visit, what do they buy, how many times do you communicate with them, and how long do they stay with you? So that was the biggest challenge. How do we get those customers to come back? So I think developing loyalty programs and things like that were so important to my clients. And that's all the information we have in this book. So you don't have to look at it and say, you don't have to spend $250,000 to implement AI. You can spend $1,000 to start. So I tell my clients, where's your biggest pain point? Is it inventory? Is it marketing? Is it onboarding? Is it HR? Whatever your biggest pain point is, let's start there, right? Let's start with that. We'll implement that, and then we'll move on. So we don't have to, they're all concerned about how much money they have to spend, right? They don't have a lot of money. They're entrepreneurs. All of their money's invested in their business.
Another great example of focusing on helping others and how that helps yourself in turn, right?
Yes.
You may not be implementing these solutions, but you can offer the solutions, you can provide direction, and it'll all lead back to you at the end of the day in some way anyways, whether it's through book sales or whether it's through new clients and exposure.
Exactly.
Linda, you mentioned something interesting there, right? You are, through your books, recommending all these different solutions and AI platforms that clients in your market could use to start solving these problems. But there's a lot of options out there, a lot of shiny objects for many people as well. How is it that you advise your clients or any business owner in general to assess where's the real business value? Where should I start? What is not a shiny object and what will actually provide me with value now?
Yeah, I tell my clients, and I get to know my clients, so I typically know where their pain point is and where they should invest. And so we research the companies that provide the broadest solutions in our book. As you know, There are so many companies out there. It's hard. So what I tell them is, listen, I suggest 5 companies in my book, right? And say, these are the 5 companies that I think provide the solution that you need. But there could be 50 more out there that provide that solution. So here's what we'll do. I call it the Ben Franklin close that tells you how old I am. That you do the positives on this side, the negatives on this side. So I say, we'll call 10 AI companies. We'll have them all give us a bid, and then you'll decide where it is. So I look at it from a money perspective. So here's what I can tell you is most of my clients and the people I talk to need it on the inventory side to start. They order way too much. They have no idea what's going to sell. None of us do. They're a new business. So we order 50 or we order 500. We just don't really know. And then we've got a warehouse full of inventory or a back of house full of inventory that we can't now cut costs because the costs now are too high with tariffs and imports and all of the things that they have to pay. So that's usually the place where we can save them the most money to begin with. Usually.
Saving money is a good place to start. Yeah.
And then
definitely.
the second place is customer acquisition, because without customers, you can't sell anything. So kind of all goes together, right?
Couldn't be more right. Now, Linda, your story covers high-stakes entrepreneurship, strategic testing, and a deep, sustained passion for retail. Yeah. For the founders, the coaches, and the growth-minded listeners who are striving to build resilient businesses and achieve global authority, what's the single most important piece of advice you'd leave them with about strategic testing, operational excellence, and keeping your eye on the ball?
I guess my biggest piece of advice is don't just be a consultant for your clients. Be the person that they go to and be the boots on the ground person. So work with them side by side, because then they know that you're in it for the long term, not for the short term. See, here's the deal. I've built thousands of stores. I've operated thousands of stores, right? I'm interested in helping my clients not just own and operate one, but to help them scale. And I can't help them scale if I'm not right next to them. 2 weeks ago, I spent 2 days in a storage unit with my client helping her organize. Bottom line, we spent 2 days working together. Now, is that what you hired me for? No, but that's where I can be the biggest benefit. So what I would leave you with as an entrepreneur and a consultant for your clients, be the person that they can look up to and work with side by side, and you'll keep a client for life, not just for short term. Seriously. Leadership starts from the top down, not the bottom.
Linda, thank you so much for sharing your journey as well as your insights and lessons with the audience today. For anyone listening who might like to learn more about International Retail Group or might like to just connect with you to continue the conversation, what would be the best way to find you?
You can go to my website, www.irg-retail.com, or email me at ljohansen-james@irg-retail.com.
Thanks again for joining us on The Growth Shift today.
Thank you.
Another powerful conversation on The Growth Shift. If you, like our guests, are ready to turn your expertise into a predictable, scalable growth engine, one that eliminates the grind of prospecting and enhances your high-value relationships, then it's time to connect with Valentix. We are not a marketing agency. We are your strategic growth partner, building intelligent systems that ensure your client acquisition is predictable, not dependent on chance. To see how our AI-powered frameworks can free up your time and fill your calendar with decision makers, visit valentix.io. Thank you for joining us on The Growth Shift. We'll see you next time.